Okay, we're calling the meeting to order. Okay, first off, we have a couple of visitors. Well, 3 visitors. We have Carlin Reed from the PEG Access Committee who wanted to join us tonight. And then Andy Bookrick, did I say your name properly? And can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your reason for attending tonight?
Well, I'm a resident of the town, and I've been thoroughly enjoying the COA since I retired, and I was just curious to see what's going on.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us. Pamela Dritt, you're also joining us tonight.
Yep, same reason.
Okay, well, thank you for coming. Okay. Nobody else. Well, Lauren, we have Lauren tonight. So Lauren is substituting for Ginger, who is on vacation, a well-deserved vacation, as we all know. So thank you, Lauren, for pinch hitting.
Sure.
Okay, did everyone have a chance to read the March minutes?
Almost.
Carol Ann, I think you have to do a roll call vote at the beginning to have people say present.
We do? We've never done that before. Okay. Okay. So for our board members, Carol?
Present.
Rod?
Present.
Terry?
Present.
Christine?
Present.
Patty?
Present.
And Kristen?
Present. Well, that will help me with the minutes since I'm always like, who's here? Trying to look around. So thank you.
Okay, on to the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes, and are there any changes? No changes?
No, not for me.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So make a motion. Oh, sorry. I'll second it.
Okay. Do you go through Rod, approve the minutes?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yep.
Christine?
Yes.
And I'm a yes too. Okay.
And I'm a yes.
No.
Oh, I thought you put the motion.
I tried.
I think it was
but I
Terry.
didn't. Yeah.
Oh, it was, okay. You know, I can't keep track of who's speaking. Okay, and Patty, yes, okay. Okay, on to reports. Okay, Margaret is going to be late tonight. She had another commitment. Concord Housing Authority, Rod?
Yes, just a few notes from the meeting which was held on April 1st. Housing Authority has identified a final candidate for their executive director, and they are progressing to sort of final negotiations about the contract. And so I expect there'll be an announcement at the next meeting.
Okay.
There's also a major effort underway on the part of the Housing Authority to submit and to make a submission, which they just completed, to the Housing and Urban Development Department, of repositioning some of the units that the CHA supervises. And I don't understand all of the details, but there is a significant financial benefit to CHA because of this repositioning. It may result in additional payments to the CHA of nearly $500,000 a year in terms of increased rent based on fair market rents for some of these units, which will translate and help with paying for the ongoing unit maintenance. So that may be, that may impact some of our seniors who are taking advantage of that housing. There was, and Lauren probably knows about this more than I, but there was a second shot vaccine clinic scheduled on April 2nd. I think at the Peter Bulkley location. It did include the CHA staff. So as of April 2nd, all the CHA staff had their second vaccinations, and they were planning to go back as a department back to on-site in-office work on the 14th. So I don't know if Lauren's heard anything about that, but that's one department that I think found it that it would be beneficial for everyone to be back. And then lastly, and this is something which I think it's a real kudos to the Concord Department of Public Works, their maintenance department. The CHA highlighted the fact that there have been no COVID cases at all at Peter Bulkley or Everett Gardens over the course of the year. I hope that's still true. This was at the beginning of the month, but they gave great credit to the Department of Public Works for helping out with doing everything that was necessary from a physical plant perspective to keep those residents safe. And that's my summary.
Thank you. That sounds great. Wow. Disability Commission. Lauren, that would be you if there was a meeting.
They're actually meeting as we speak. So that typically they meet the third Thursday, but it got postponed. So they're actually meeting now. So I'll have an update at the next meeting so that I can give to Ginger.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Concord after 60. I think Terry, you said there wasn't a meeting.
Right. The meeting was scheduled and there was a speaker, but then the speaker canceled. And so we didn't have a speaker. And they just visited among themselves and had a good cup of tea together. And that's about it.
Okay. Do you know what's coming up next? Do they have somebody else scheduled for the next meeting?
Yes, there is another meeting. Well, it's scheduled for the third Sunday. So it's coming up this coming Sunday at 2:00.
I got an email on that, but there was nothing listed as to what the program was.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know.
Maybe
I
it's
got the
just a
same email
get-together.
you got then, and I don't remember it, but it's on my calendar to be there and see what happens. So I'll let you know next month what happens.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Concord Housing Authority, that's Michael, and Michael is not with us. StarMet, Kristen?
Yeah, so the StarMet committee, i.e. my husband and his colleague, did present to the select board this week, I believe, or maybe it was the end of last week. So they just presented the final report. The committee is essentially then disbanded, and the report and its findings and suggestions have gone to the select board for consideration. They will likely, after going through all of the report, have another opportunity perhaps in the fall where they will be asking for further input. There might be some sort of after they've reviewed, they may have a workshop in the fall in September where they would be inviting additional input from residents. But the committee itself is now disbanded.
Okay,
And in deliberation.
thank you. Board of Health, Patty?
Right. They did not have a meeting yet this month. They will be having it April 27, Tuesday at 7 p.m. If there's anyone who would like to sub for me if I need it, I'm going to be in Mexico, and so I'm not sure of my internet availability. with it. I'm going to try, but if there's someone who can do a backup, Kristen,
I'm happy to do that. Or
Are
what
you?
time? Sorry.
it's for the Board of Health.
But what time typically?
7 p.m., 7
Yeah.
p.m. on April 27, Tuesday.
Yes, I can do that.
Thank you very much. That's helpful. Thank you. I did call, however, speak with Susan Rask, who's in charge of the Board of Health. And I asked her if there's anything she'd like me to convey tonight. And she said, well, let me think. Most people over 70 have been vaccinated in the town. That was one thing. And she said that any homebound people, if you know of any, could call her and they can try to schedule that and make it happen. The problem that has happened is with J&J, and that might affect that promptness of giving the vaccine. But if there is anyone who's homebound, a senior, they can call Susan Rask at the Board of Health. And that number, just FYI, is 978-318-3275. She said that the variants are circulating. Even if vaccinated, you can still get it. And she has heard of people in the state who have got it, even though they're fully vaccinated, have got COVID, but the symptoms are not as severe as they have been in the past. So all the precautions that we take are still very important. The social distancing, the wearing the masks, etc. She said that the numbers are still up in COVID throughout the state, as you mostly know. But even though we are clearly done with COVID, COVID is not done with us, to quote her. So that was really what she said to say. Keep your
Okay.
guard up, even if you're fully vaccinated.
Thank you, Patty. Public Works, Rod again.
Oh, I'm sorry, you need to unmute because I muted you because there was a lot of background noise.
That was a wise decision to mute me. I'll just go through a few notes. There is an extraordinary number of activities underway throughout the town. Their shopping list of activities is extremely long, but I'll just highlight a couple of things. There has been a new release of a document, a pamphlet, and it is a very impressive one. It is a tree planting guide for Concord, and it was put together as a collaboration between the department, some consultants, and some citizens. Carol Ann, in the notes that I emailed you, I put the link into the to the site on the town page where people can look at can get the file. But it is extremely informative and well constructed and well managed document. So this may be something that might be of interest in terms of presentation to one of our senior citizens groups, or it may be of interest to some seniors. Then just in terms of letting folks know what's going on, probably the most significant new activity that's going on with roads is that there's an application and a plan in progress for extension of the stone wall that surrounds one side of Haywood Meadow. It's the side of Haywood Meadow that is the stone wall from Lexington Road, and the side that includes the Concord Independent Battery Gun House. The proposal is to move that wall, continue to extend that wall down Haywood Street on that side of the street. And the reason why it was coming up as a Department of Public Works issue is that in order to achieve this this extension, the wall has to overlap with the town's right of way by 2 to 3 feet. So the Department of Public Works is working with the owners of the land and the folks who are proposing to extend this stone wall. Right now, I guess there's these white painted concrete pylons that line that side of Haywood Street. And there was some thought that just extending the stone wall in the same style as the stone wall on Lexington Road would be more appropriate. So that's something that I just want to alert everyone that you may see some things happening over the summer down in Haywood Meadow. 2 other points. First, the recycling department gave a presentation about recycling at the Concord Library. It apparently was extremely well received. It just raised the issue for me as to whether or not, and the representative Jennifer from the Department of Public Works was widely praised for the presentation that she gave. And it might be of something to interest to seniors or the Concord Over 60 group, or if people are looking for a town presentation. So if anyone wants those details, let me know and I will pass them on. And then something which the seniors probably will be affected by is that water and sewer rates are gonna go up. And just remind everybody, water and sewer rates are not paid for out of the tax assessment each year, but they are paid for by the fees that people who use the system pay into the system. The system is incredibly well managed financially, and there are balances, surpluses right now that are used to absorb some of these costs so that you don't get big swings in fees from year to year. But the increases are anticipated due to possible needs for new water treatments for something that's called an emerging contaminant. And the emerging contaminant is a family of compounds that are abbreviated as PFAS or PFAS, which I have found out stands for per or polyfluoroalkyl substances. And they have been used for 20, 30, or 40 years. They were thought to be inert, and there have been widespread use, for example, in fire retardant materials. Well, it turns out that apparently there have been studies done that this needs to be monitored and tested and controlled or reduced if there are treatment requirements. And I didn't have time to look up the toxicology for this, but usually when something like this occurs, it's because of a finding, and usually it's in animal finding. I don't think it's at this time. I haven't heard of anything happening in humans, but it raises an issue, and it's something that the town takes very seriously. So the department is all over this. They've taken their samples, they've sent it out for the testing, and they're going to make a determination of what our levels are from all the various sources of water that we use to supply the town. So that's the first area where there may be some increases to treat the water to assure that the levels of this emerging contaminant stay well below the limits that have been assigned, which, by the way, is a very low limit. 20 parts per trillion.
Oh,
Is the limit. Yeah, I didn't get that from the meeting. I went and looked it up on the web. So take that with a grain of salt. But holy cow, that is stringent. And then finally, the sewer system, the water treatment plant. It's time to renew the contract, and it's also time for some preventative maintenance and replacement of machinery. So probably there's going to be some price increases for those folks that use the sewer systems. So that's some of the updates. And Carol Ann, I put these notes in the email I sent to you, so you don't have to read them. Okay.
All right, I will send them to Kristen too. Oh, Patty has a question. Your microphone's off. Microphone.
I do have a question. It's mainly for Lauren. I attended a few years back a recycling meeting at the senior center, and we were told some things that were true then that are no longer true. I found out by calling the recycling place, and I would think that would be a fabulous meeting to schedule for the seniors again. There's so many questions about recycling. One of the things that we were told back then was that, yes, you should be recycling, for example, empty milk cartons and things like that after you clean them out. But that is no longer true in Concord. So things like that, I think it would be really beneficial, both for the recycling effort and for seniors to know more of the rules and regulations about how we recycle and what.
Yeah, I'm happy to add that to our program. It's too late for May because I'm doing the May newsletter now, but I'm happy to get in contact with Jennifer, was it? And ask her if she's able to do a presentation for the Council on Aging.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, I just had one quick question, really just clarifying here. So you're saying there may be an increase, but it is to cover the testing for this water contaminant, not that there's any known, it's not known, it's an emerging contaminant that they're identified that they need to look for, not that they know that they have any yet, right? The money was.
That's correct. That's correct, Kristen.
Yeah.
That's correct. It's considered, I guess, across the nation as an emerging contaminant. And so the word has gone out to all local authorities that this is something which is of interest and that it will be controlled.
Could you tell us one more time what the chemicals were? You said the PFAS or whatever. What did it stand for?
It's an abbreviation for a whole family of compounds, and as I understand it, it's the prefix is PER hyphen and polyfluoroalkyl compounds. So these are, and it seemed like there was quite a number of uses of this family of compounds. And the one that I noted that just struck me is that it was used as fire retardant. So I'm thinking of infants' clothing, things like that. And it was for many years considered inert and totally benign. And I don't know what the science is that now suggests that it is not benign.
So I'm sure we don't want to get too far down this, but I mean, it is also in a lot of those to-go containers, which Concord no longer allows in town, like, you know, the fast food containers, the wrappers, things like that.
Okay.
Could I ask Rod, so that I can tell the After 60 group, which Jennifer and her phone number?
Terry, I'll get that to you after the meeting. I don't have her
Okay.
last, but I need to look that up and I will send
Okay.
you the info. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No. Thank you, Rod, for a very informative update on Public Works. PEG access, Carol.
Okay, Rod, I'm going to ask you a quick question. Was that presentation by the on recycling filmed by the Minuteman Media Network?
I thought you were going to ask that question.
Maybe
don't-
Carlin knows the answer to that.
I don't know.
I don't think it was, but there was a presentation sponsored by the league on recycling that was recorded, and it is posted on the Minuteman Media Network's YouTube page right now. So if you want to get a preview of it, that is posted. Thanks, Carol.
Okay. All right. Well, last month's Spirit newsletter advertised the Minuteman Media Network as it usually does, and it gave a link to the schedule of programs. And that really is not the most convenient method for letting seniors know what's going on. But at the last PEG committee meeting, the Comcast representative basically said that they were looking into putting the guide on the TV, just like every other channel has it. However, there's a third-party company that does that, and they charge $500 a month per channel to put up the programming for that channel. And so that's really out of the budget for the guide. So for the committee. Anyway, there was a mention though of, and maybe Carlin, you can give me this information. There was supposedly a community bulletin board, maybe easier than the TV guide. I tried to find such a thing and I could not find anything. But any easier guide to what is available online is great. I think one of the things maybe we could do is put a link to the YouTube library, because you can go there anytime if you have some free time. And there's, I don't know how many hundreds of YouTube presentations there are. Every one of our meetings is on there. There's, you know, what I was interested in was the Concord Carlisle High School youth sports. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my mind here. But the team plays and there are a whole bunch of things that are on that YouTube library. So it's not what's happening now, it's what happened, but it's still, I think it's a better link to give people. So other than that, that was it.
Is the problem mainly that people don't have access to the internet to see the listing?
That's right. You have to have the TV guide listing is on the website for the Minuteman Media Network website, and you that's the only way you can find out what's available. Unless we put something in particular in our newsletter, but there's nothing every week that we, or every month that we would put something in. Yeah.
I thought additionally part of the problem is that they don't know their schedule far enough in advance to be able to tell us, because we've asked previously if they could give us, you know, like a month in advance. When are you going to show what specifically? When are you going to re-show any of the things that we've recorded? And the answer I've always gotten is, well, we don't know far enough in advance. Right. So if I ask on the 15th of April, they can't tell me what they're doing in the month of May, right. And I need to get it to the news, like
let it by them. Yeah. Carlin could probably answer these questions a little better than I, but right. I don't think that is known in advance like that, what they're going to put on.
I mean, the best they could give us was to say that certain days,
right.
At certain times, they would show something from COA related, but not be able to tell us what it was. So,
correct. Yeah.
In addition to having it hard to find on the website, it seems like they have a hard time planning more than a couple of weeks ahead of time. It was my sort of understanding. Maybe that's wrong.
I think Carlin would like to respond.
If I may, Lauren, this was an issue that was highlighted by Carol when she came to one of our meetings, and I really appreciate that because it's now one of my causes. So Lauren, I'm going to be talking to you about this. Caroline, I'll keep you in the loop because Caroline, you lived actually just down the street from me, I found out. So I'll just walk down there. Anyway, we're going to try and get this resolved because you folks do need to know what's going on. We need to make sure that the PEG Access program is there to serve you, not to make your lives more difficult.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Carol. Well, transportation, that's Ginger, but I don't think we probably have a report. Lauren, you familiar with anything with transportation?
Sadly, no changes. We're still just doing the seniors on the van at a time, separated, sort of distanced on the van. We're not doing supermarket yet, which is something that's sort of at high demand. A lot of people are asking when we're going to be able to take people grocery shopping again. That's something that people are missing, but that has not been given the okay yet. So there's really no news.
Okay, thank you. I do not have a chair report this month. We haven't had our chair's breakfast, so it will be next week. So I have nothing. Andrea's not with us. So that brings us to Susan for Select Board.
Hi, everybody. I just have a few things. One is, as you may or may not know, town meeting this year is going to be outdoors again. It'll be on June 13th at the Doug White Field. And the format will be similar. So it's important if you're interested in specific articles or want to give your input on articles. The hearings start there. If you go on the town website to town meeting 2021, there'll be a list of dates starting on April 27th through May 13th. There are 5 hearings of 1 select board, 3 finance committee, and 1 planning board hearing about the articles that are in the town warrant for this year. So that is really the best opportunity for all of us to give input, and that after that process takes place, then the select board, finance committee, planning board will make the recommendations for approval or not going to town meeting. So that input is very important to that process. Patriots Day is coming up. That will be something that will be on Minuteman Network. There's a loop. I'm not sure, I haven't been updated on this, but I know that a request went out to a number of the organizations that have marched in the parade in past years for a 30-second video that they're planning to string together and do a loop throughout the day. And then the other thing I wanted to tell you about was this book that just came out. It's called Ecology and Concord Trails. It was written by Richard Foreman, Delia Kay, and Robert White. And the 14 conservation properties that the town owns are all detailed in here. And there's maps of the trails and a whole lot of information. It's available at the visitor center. It costs $15. And I'm giving it to a lot of people for their birthdays this year. But it's really, they've been working on this for quite a while, and it's finally out, and it's really a great volume. And that's it for me.
Okay,
I have 2 questions, if I can. The Doug White Field is the football field at the high school, right?
It's the upper field.
Oh,
Yeah, it's the
good.
upper.
Okay, because the football field is very difficult to get to for older people.
Yeah.
It's the walk. Okay, so it's the upper field. Great. The other thing is, what channel will that Patriot Day programming be on?
9, channel
Okay.
9.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Susan. On to director's report. Lauren, do you have any updates for us?
So we are working with Open Table. We actually now have 2 programs with them. We have a monthly delivery that people can sign up for to get groceries in addition to what they deliver to some of our seniors, but they've also started a Healthy Helpings for people who have been recommended by their doctor to eat heart healthy foods. And they get prepared meals plus sort of easy to throw together snack foods, things that are like don't require any cooking skills. Started out quite small, but we've actually doubled the number of participants from 1 month to the next, which is pretty impressive. And Yes, they're willing to take signups for pretty much anyone who is interested in heart healthy meals, regardless of income eligibility. They're really working very hard to take the stigma away from receiving food from Open Table. And this has been a kind of a good way to introduce people to what they offer. So there's that program. We're also looking forward to having the Food for Families program, which we do with Gaining Grounds, which is another fresh produce program we do with them that people can sign up for too. In past years, they've had, they've set it up like an open market and people can go and pick their produce. But because of the pandemic, they were doing sort of pre-prepared grocery bags of food. And they did say that that's probably what they're going to do again this season, just because it's been a little bit easier to organize. The radiologist oncologist that was supposed to come and talk about COVID messed up her schedule. And so we've had to reschedule her. So she's actually coming May 4th, which was a little embarrassing, but not our fault. But if anybody's interested in finding out the most up-to-date information about COVID and the variants and everything, we will have her back. We'll give her a second chance to come talk to us on May 4th. And like I said in the beginning, we have now completed all 3 second dose clinics. So everyone that we gave a first dose vaccine to has now received their second dose. Plus we got about 75 people vaccinated with the Johnson & Johnson. So we've gotten a little over 300 people vaccinated, 300 seniors vaccinated. And the call volume of people looking for vaccines has really fallen. You know, in the beginning, we were getting constant calls for help making appointments and things like that. It's really reduced. So it does seem like most people who want to be vaccinated have been able to. But if you hear of anyone who is eligible and needs help, let us know, because we can try and help people get to appointments or make their appointments. And that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have questions?
I had one question.
Patty, you're muted.
I am?
No. Okay, Patty she was speaking. Okay.
So should I go? Or
Hey, you're still muted.
What time is that meeting on COVID, Lauren, on the 4th?
Yeah, it will be. So it was supposed to be
Right, but what time of
now
day?
been rescheduled for May 4th at 1 o'clock.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Kristen, did you have a question?
I did have a question. So the Gaining Grounds program, first of all, what did you say that was called? And are you saying people can still sign up, or you've got all your?
Yes, yeah. So it's called Food for Families. So it's not restricted only to seniors. They can get a referral through us. This is through the Council on Aging, or younger families would be through Bonnie Wilbur. But it's open to anyone who would like some fresh produce. It's totally free. And they set up over at the Everett Garden housing complex there. So.
Okay, so people can still sign up for that. And for the other Open Table programs, are you still?
Yeah, absolutely.
For all
for both the monthly groceries and also for the heart healthy meals.
Is there any date for the reopening of the COA facilities coming up in June or May, or?
Definitely not in May. I think you missed the beginning. There's a senior management team who is developing a kind of town-wide plan for reopening, and they're still in conversation, but nothing yet. No indication that we'll be opening next month, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And even when we do, it'll be sort of a phased, thing. So we'll start having some events here small groups, that sort of thing, so that we can maintain social distancing and protocols.
Thank you.
Rod, did you have a question?
I did. Lauren, that, this, fantastic, and I can't emphasize how fantastic it is that you got over 300 people vaccinated in town. It's just such an admirable thing that you and your colleagues accomplished. Have you had any discussions about an outreach program for seniors who have, and I honestly don't know how to identify the seniors who have not been vaccinated, irrespective of the reason. So, maybe they're not interested, maybe they are hesitant, maybe they didn't know that they could contact COA to get assistance. Is there any discussion about it may be a small effort, but on a very, very constant basis for reaching out to the senior community to identify the late adopters for whatever reason?
Sure. So maybe I should explain how we got the names, the 300 that we vaccinated. So we started out prioritizing those over the age of 90 and got a list from the town of all of the residents over the age of 90. Our staff called everybody in town that at least everyone who had filled out their census or was on our database, offered it first to everyone over the age of 90. Once those people had been offered, then we sort of went down a year at a time until we were able to call everyone over the age of 70 to see if they had been vaccinated. What we were finding is that as we got between sort of 85 and 75, a lot of those seniors were able to get their vaccines themselves. A lot of people were vaccinated either at one of the mega sites or managed to get appointments through their physicians. So we have done a considerable amount of outreach as far as thousands of phone calls. We've called everyone who's on our database and everyone who's completed a census. A few people fell through the gaps. I've gotten a couple of phone calls since doing the clinic saying, my mother is, 94 years old and she hasn't been vaccinated, and we'll look her up and she hasn't completed the census and she's not in our system. So then we try and help them find an appointment at one of the mega sites if we can find them a ride, or through their physician or a CVS pharmacy. As far as outreach to those who declined the vaccine when we first started, I'm not sure how much convincing we should be doing. I think we offered it to people. If they declined, we allowed them to make that decision. So I'm not sure that we would go back and ask them again.
You bring up an excellent point. One counter suggestion might be that in your upcoming programs that you list in the journal, that you have every month just a statement. If there's any senior that hasn't been vaccinated and it now wants a vaccination and needs help, please contact and give a contact number. Yeah, just doing it through the newspaper. Yeah. And you may be able to do that on the website too. But I'm thinking that there may be folks that are, that think that now they passed it up and they for whatever reason they can't go get it. So
yeah, no, I'm happy to add something to the newsletter that just says if you haven't yet been vaccinated and would like assistance getting an appointment, please contact the COA.
Lauren, I have a question. Did you have to contact people who were at Newbury Court or Concord Park? Or did you leave them out?
We did leave them out because the facilities themselves organized that. They were in a different phase and a different kind of category. So anyone who is at a facility would have gotten their hopefully would have gotten their vaccine through the facility. And then the housing authority also did, their separate clinic. A few of those people that live at the housing authority managed to get their vaccines before the CHA got vaccine. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I just wondered how wide a spread you went. I would have thought that Newburyport, Concord Park, and the other facilities would not have been included in your phone calling. Okay.
Yeah.
So the Board of Health is basically available also to call for homebound seniors in the town.
Yeah, we did partner with the Board of Health to do, we managed to do 20 homebound seniors before the state came out with their mobile vaccine program. So before the state made the announcement that they were working on a plan to vaccinate homebound seniors, the town took the initiative to reach out to those that we knew would have a hard time getting appointments or even getting to the senior center. So we managed to vaccinate 20 people in their homes that way. But like Patty said, now the state is offering a program, but those referrals have to go through the Board of Health. So it's the Board of Health who contacts the state to get a nurse out to vaccinate somebody who's homebound. And the criteria for that is much, much stricter than we were using. So for you to be considered homebound, for the state to come and vaccinate you, you would have to have difficulty getting to doctor's appointment without the help of 2 individuals to get you out of the house, or to have to be transported by ambulance. So you have to be pretty homebound for that.
Any other questions? We're actually finishing early tonight.
Well done,
An-
Carolyn.
Andy, do you have a question? Or are you
Yeah,
waiting?
I just wanted to mention something back toward about Open Table. Also, First Parish has Open Table twice a month, the second and fourth.
Just
Did he freeze?
Yeah.
Oh dear,
Is he frozen?
I think
Or is
so.
he-
That was bad timing.
I know. Maybe he'll come back.
Maybe you'll have to leave and come back in.
he's
Here,
there's
here.
I'm frozen.
Okay,
Oh.
you're back.
I was trying to, I have somebody messing me up here. I was trying to mention that First Parish has Open Table on, twice a month. And it's also available for people that are having food security issues. So that's, it's not partly really part of COA, but people need to eat. So something to remember.
So they actually have it ongoing now?
It's twice a month, they call it mobile pantry, but it's Open Table, the same food that comes from Crosby and all the other donations.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Thank you. Anything else? Oh, Pamela, did you want to say something? You're muted.
Yes, just briefly, I recommend the Environmental Working Group as a really good organization for understanding pollutants and what's safe to eat in terms of foods and pesticides and other words, including the things in makeup that aren't good. And it has an excellent article on PFAS. And I would put a link somewhere, but there's no chat or something like that. So go to Environmental Working Group. If you Google Environmental Working Group and PFAS, you'll get all the information you would want to know, not only about it, but where it is located in terms of the country. It has a map of where the industrial uses are and so on. And it really looks like Massachusetts is deeply colored.
Uh-oh.
It's used in Teflon. It's used in, yes, it's used in cleaning solvents, industrial cleaning solvents. And so it's a emerging, fiber, asbestos type stuff. It's
Not good.
Yeah. Dear.
And sorry, for the minutes, it was Environmental Working Group.
group. Mm-hmm.
PFAS.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Christine, you've been very quiet tonight.
Oh, I'm.
Okay. Do I have a motion to end the meeting?
Terry Stokes, let's end the meeting.
Okay. Carol,
Yeah, I second the motion and I vote for it.
okay, Rod,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yep.
Christine?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you all. We'll
Thank
see
you.
you next
Good night,
month.
everyone.
And thank you to our guests for coming tonight. Very nice.
Thanks, Lauren, too.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Lauren. Bye-bye.
Well,
Lauren.